Good morning. Welcome back to my pottery journal and my potter studio. It's been a couple weeks because, as anything goes, things happen and you have to work around them. A couple weeks ago, I was doing a bisque firing, and when I opened my kiln, I noticed there was some debris. And this was the culprit. This is my thermocouple, and as you can tell, the end of it is completely gone. And I thought that I could just go to my local pottery supply and purchase another one, which I did. However, because my kiln is an Olympic kiln, it takes a special one, so I actually had to order one and wait for it to come in. So I've been applying glaze to bisque items. As you can see behind me, I have a whole flat of things to glaze fire, and that will happen later because I've already started putting more bisque greenware in my kiln to bisque, so it's just the way it goes. Today, I'm making something new. I was at a friend's and I noticed some coasters that they had, and they were really pretty and beachy because that's the vibe of the environment we were in. And I was like, I would like some coasters. I would like some coasters that I made. So this is going to be my version of a set of ceramic coasters that would fit into more my aesthetic. And I'm going to be doing what I call my circuit board line. This is just a vase, and inside I have ancient copper and then some hot running chowder along the top. This is textured turquoise, and this is, I believe, hunter green underglaze. And then I take clear gloss and paint over all of the little areas that I want to look like the actual soldered pieces on a circuit board. And then I take gold luster and do a luster firing. And it comes out like this. This idea actually came from someone who works at, we're on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, and the Stennis Space Center is probably about 30 miles from where we live. And a lady bought a bunch of moon items from me one year because they were working on the Artemis rocket for her co-workers for Christmas. And then she looked at me, she goes, I work with circuit boards. Do you have anything in that you make that would even resemble that? And I was like, no, but give me time. And probably over a 6-month period, while this idea ruminated in my brain, I bought a couple items off of Etsy where people had repurposed circuit boards, like into clipboards and things like that. And this line was born. So the first thing, all long story short, we're going to take this shallow bowl. We're going to turn it into a holder for some coasters. I've already thrown this, I've already trimmed it. I want to get it ready for our coasters. It's about, hang on, let me turn it back over. The inside dimensions are about just under, no, it's 4.5. The diameter's 4.5, and the depth is 1 3/4. This piece I will fire to cone 5, and it'll be vitrified. The coasters themselves, my plan is, because I'm using underglazes and I'm going to use low fire glazes on the top of them, I'm only going to fire them to 04 in my bisque kiln so that they still have some absorption. And then I'm going to put cork bottoms on them so that they can, hopefully, absorb some water if somebody has a drink that's condensating, and it'll protect their furniture. I like to decorate the bottoms of these like this. I'll put my stamp signature in and then I'll work around it. As I said, these are a soft leather hard. I need to support the bottom though. Get my name stamp on there. It's a little, I messed up a little bit. Pressed a little hard. I may have trimmed that a little shallow, but it'll be okay. As long as it doesn't crack. I collect a bunch of random things to use in the studio. To make this one pattern, like right here, I have this, I believe it's a skewer for a barbecue, but it's got this really cool rectangular shape. And I just go in and I press just lightly to create the indentions. It also helps when because it's recessed, when I'm actually glazing, I'm less messy with the glazes. I have this little jar full of all kinds of little found items that work really well. Little triangles, little rectangles, circles. I probably should figure out like a little tray to sort everything in. It would make my life a little bit easier rather than dig for things. Now, this doesn't have to look like a real circuit board. I guess you could if you wanted to. It is just the idea of it. I have this little metal wheel thing, and I like it because it has these little smooth edges, and I use that like so to actually create the tracks for the electrical currents, the connectors. I don't know what they're called. Probably should, but I don't. And then I just go through and create the pattern that I want. These are labors of love. This is just a ballpoint pen. I'm using the end of it. There's not a ink cartridge in it anymore, but it makes a really good circle, and it has a grip on it. Just some random circles. All right. The next thing I need to do, because this is the holder for the coasters, is cut the notch on both sides. I'm really just going to take my ruler and eyeball it, lay it on top. I put a swirl in the bottom of it, so what I'm doing is I'm centering the circle in the middle of the ruler. Because all I need is really just enough space so that you could pull them out. I have this wire tool. Gonna go across the bottom, eyeball it as best I can, and bring it straight up and pull that piece out. I'm going to repeat on the other side. Going down, coming across, coming up. Then I have a sponge, and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to clean up these edges just a little bit. I will have to come back probably again with a sponge when it's in a still leather hard, but not quite as wet as it is now. And just make sure that I've got these edges cleaned up the way I would like them. I didn't go as far down on this side, so there we go. And again, this is to just give enough room for you to use your fingers to pull the coaster out. All right, I think that's enough space. Now, if I had wanted to put some of this circuit board on the side of this, I would have done that prior to cutting these pieces out. But now that this is cut, I don't want to mess with the integrity of the piece. I'm just going to set this out of the way. The next thing is to actually make the coasters. And I have 3 of these already made. They look like this. I have these, sorry about that. What I'm doing to try to keep these from warping is I just have 2 wear boards, and I'm putting it like this, and then I have this bisqueware bowl, and I'm just adding just a little bit of weight. Not a lot of weight, just a little bit. And right now, because the way I've got these situated, the weight is equally distributed. When I add the 4th one, I'll put them like so, and add my 4th one here, and then that will hopefully let them dry without warping. So I have this piece of slab. I've already compressed it, but I've got a couple lines in it, so let's go ahead and get rid of those. I will cut out extras. My coaster holder is designed to hold 4 of these. This slab is 3/8 of an inch, and there will be shrinkage. It won't be the typical 12% for B-Mix because they'll only be bisqued, but I'm also adding a round cork bottom, so I wanted to give a little bit of space for that. The next thing is, this is just a 4-inch cookie or biscuit cutter, and inside this little pouch I have cornstarch, and it's just a little poof, and it's just in t-shirt material with a rubber band, because then I can just do this. I know a lot of people use like a makeup brush for this. I found that this works just as well for me. So straight down, give it a little twist. I've tried this using saran wrap, because the saran wrap will round the edges, but it also distorts just a little bit. You have to periodically check your cutter for excess clay. You usually get about 2 cuts out of it before the cutter gets like this stuff right here, on the inside and the outside. I have all kinds of and sizes of circular cutters. I think I stole these out of my kitchen years ago. All right, set this aside. Next thing I need to do is I need to finesse the edges. I'm just taking a damp sponge and smoothing that. Usually I let this sit up just a little bit more. I know I already have 3 coasters made, and I have 4 here. I always make extra. Just in case something happens when I'm trying to make a set, because if I don't, then a mistake will happen. Invariably, that's the experience I've had when I do the minimum rather than doing the extra. A crack will happen, a warp will happen, the glaze won't turn out right. And since I am experimenting with these, I want to give myself some wiggle room. Also, this is my regular stoneware clay. A lot of people, when they make absorbent coasters, will use an earthenware clay. I have chosen not to because I really don't want to introduce a lower fire clay body into my studio, because I would make the mistake of not remembering which one was high fire and which one was low fire and which one was mid fire, and then I'd put them in the kiln together and then I would have a melted mess. That's just me personally. So I'm going to grab one of these, and I've put this pattern either completely or partially on every single one of the coasters. So I'm going to do that again. And what did I do with, there it is, this little guy. He's square at one end and a rectangular shape at another end, so it makes him very usable. He has 3 pieces, or textures, I guess I should say, on each part of this. Now, I have been told that I spend too much time on my pottery at times, and I'm not going to make enough money to balance the time that I spend. Oh, real quick, I have this tin. It's full of, these are leather working tools, and I bought these to do exactly what I'm doing with them. One side is sharp. I'm not using that side. I'm using the dull side because they're cool. They have all kinds of shapes. This is just the end of a sharp point Sharpie. I like the design that it gives me. I could do that with different circles, but I really like that design. Again, I'm kind of looking what I did for that one, trying to keep the same designs in it, but not make it look the same. This is a set of fondant letter stamps, but I'm not using the actual design. I'm using the other side because I want those 4 evenly spaced pieces of plastic to kind of make it look like a square, but it not be a square. All right, now to add the finessing of our basic design. This is just a ball tool. If you've ever looked add a circuit board, a motherboard. There's some little squares on there and they have these little divots, and that's kind of what I was hoping to replicate with that design. Let's see. You saw me do this already on the bottom. I am just putting in these little lines. That's all I'm doing. I go in stages like this. Not switching between tools, it makes it go faster. Because this is very time consuming, and I know that. The glazing of these is very time consuming. But again, that is something I am completely okay with. Don't let anyone tell you how to do your craft. There are some things I do that are very, very simple. Then there are things that I do that are extremely complicated. This makes me happy. And that's what our creative outlets should do, is make us happy. Again, I'm replicating the design elements from the one I've already created. Making sure I didn't leave anything off. So here is our original one, and here is our new one. These will get a couple bisque firings. Making sure I didn't, nope, it still stays within my cutter. It's still round. And that'll be our coasters. I'm not putting my name on the bottom of these. Again, these will have cork on the bottom. See that this one's set up pretty nicely, and for the most part hasn't warped. Again, clay has memory. We'll see how it comes out of the first bisque kiln. Before these actually get bisqued, I will put the hunter green underglaze on it, because I will come back after I put the hunter green, and it's probably, I think I used 3 coats, and after that is bisque fired on, I'll come back with a black underglaze and watered down and put that on top of it to go into all of the recessed areas. Next, for the coasters, I think I'm going to buy a low fire clear gloss glaze and do all of the pieces, and then that'll probably happen when I do the black underglaze. And then I'll come back after that is all done, and I'll put on the gold luster, and that'll get fired to 018, and then these will be complete. And yes, I will be doing tests with them to see if the cork bottom will work. I don't think a glass would condensate enough to completely saturate the bisque piece, but again, first time I've ever made these. If it does, the thing to do would be to take the same low fire glaze and coat the back, and then put it like on stilts. But I'm afraid if I did that, it might work. So again, first time making these. Thank you for coming along with me. They'll come out of the kiln probably about a week's time after the bisque firing. And yeah, that is my newest foray. I would like to thank all the potters out there on YouTube, because I do randomly just go out and watch what y'all are doing, and y'all inspire me to come out here and try something new and step outside of my comfort zone and experiment with the clay. Oh, I wanted to see one more thing. Let's see if this works. So, of course, there's going to be shrinkage, but the idea, and then there's enough space. I don't know if you can see it. There's enough space in there that the shrinkage should work. I think I did the math correctly, but we'll have to wait and see. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.